everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to be filming because I have been struggling to edit anything, but this video I know will be edited and uploaded today, which is so exciting. I thought it was finally time to do a little book haul. I'm going to be doing like kind of a collective haul for the last 2 months. I know I mentioned the books that I have purchased in my Defeat the TBR updates, but I have had a couple of questions about book hauling when I have like a decent amount of books. I just went shopping today, okay, and not all of this is from today. I will tell you guys when it's from, but I did buy a good amount of books from the works today, so I thought I would haul those. And I also had a couple more books that I brought this September, but I also thought I would haul the books that I brought in August to give you guys a little bit more detail about those books. One thing I do want to preface this by saying is I am subscribed to book subscription boxes. I've got two. I've got the Illumicrate and the Fairy Loot. We're going to go in order of books purchased and when they were purchased or when they received to me, and we're going to start off with the books I purchased or received in August. This is what the stack is looking like. First book on top of this stack is Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. This was my August Illumicrate book box book, and I love this edition. It's a foiled gold edition. It's the first in a series, and the dust jacket is a custom Illumicrate exclusive recolor of the original dust jacket. It's like a really epic like high fantasy book, so I will go ahead and read you guys the synopsis, but I just want to show you all of the customizations to this book because it is absolutely stunning, and I just cannot get over the detail in these edges. But the detail in these edges is just so thought about. Fate is a cruel mistress. The daughter of a powerful but disgraced blood worker, Jeanne Leclerc has spent her entire life protecting her blood magic, building her network of spies and gathering scraps of power. Now, to protect her brother, she assassinates their father and takes her place at the head of the family. And that is only the start of her revenge. Samuel Hutchinson is a bastard with a terrible gift. When he stumbles upon the first victim of a magical serial killer, he's drawn into the world of sorcery and intrigue he's worked so hard to avoid, and is pulled deeply into the ravenous and bloodthirsty court of the Vampire King. Tasked to discover the identity of the killer cutting a bloody swath through the city, Samuel, Shan, and mysterious royal blood worker Isaac find themselves growing ever closer to each other. But Shan's plans are treacherous, and as she lures Samuel into her complicated web of desire, treason and vengeance, he must decide if the good of their nation is worth the cost of his soul. This is a romantic debut, and like it says, there is magic, there is vampires, and this is just right up my alley. Like, this is something that I would have brought myself upon seeing it on a shelf. And it says at the bottom, Mistress of Lies is a darkly seductive romantic debut with a villainous, bloodthirsty heroine who finds herself plunged into the dangerous world of power, politics and murder in the court of the Eternal King. Then I also purchased The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, it was really funny. My elder sister saw this on my shelves and she was like, what has happened? Like, what has got into you? I do believe that this is like the root of most fantasy, and it inspires quite a lot of fantasy writers from what I know. Please don't come at me if I'm not right. But basically, this is mainly because I really enjoy the Lord of the Rings vampire sets, Lego sets, and I would really like to own one in like the next year or so. But I feel like I am extremely uncultured and I don't really know anything about Lord of the Rings. I haven't watched The Lord of the Rings, but I know so many people love it, and there's people in my life who adore it. And this is the bind up of all 5 books, I believe. Oh no, I lied, of all 6 books. So this is just like one book bind up of all 6 books, and this feels really manageable because I could just read this over 6 months, 1 book a month, and they're only about 200 pages each, so it's really not that much content when I break it down into months. Like, it's 200 pages a month. I can do that. So this felt a lot more manageable than watching the films, because I believe the films are quite like long, and I got this from my secondhand bookstore when I was book shopping with one of my friends. I feel like most of you will know what Lord of the Rings is about, but I'm pretty sure it's about a dark lord who is trying to gather all of the rings together, the rings of power, so that he can rule the world. And I think there's one ring missing, which is where the Hobbit, where Baggins comes in, and he basically has the ring, from what I understand. He basically has to make a journey to destroy the ring so that the Dark Lord can never have it, so the Dark Lord can never rule. I brought this one for myself. This is the God in the Gummy Hole by Sophie by Sophie Kim. This is a Fairy Loot special edition, and I actually brought this secondhand off of Vinted from the Vinted seller for like a really good price, and I just knew I was going to love this book. I didn't actually have any initial intrigue to this book. I'd seen covers, but I hadn't really ever picked it up to have a look what it was about. And then Jodie on YouTube, she's like a bookish YouTuber that I love to watch. She's got such cozy, chill vlogs. She basically spoke about this book, and all the tropes in here are just like tropes that I love, and it's definitely like grumpy sometimes and absolute hate, like hate to love. I've already read this and I can say I adored this, and I sobbed my heart and soul out at the ending, and it's so good. Basically, you follow a fallen god, and he has been kicked out of the heavens by his brother for trying to stage a like overthrowing of him on the throne, and he has been punished to send 20,000 souls back to the dark world, I believe, and before he can be reinstated as a god. And then we also have our Gummy-Ho, which is a 9-tailed fox, and she is called Hanny, and Hanny just is great. They are both sarcastic. You will laugh out loud at this. If you're someone who does not like humour in books, I would just not bother picking this up and trying it. But as someone who loves my characters to have banter and just enjoy their time together, these two were so funny. They like literally squabbled like brother and sister at some points. And in this book, there is lots of things going on. There is demons. There are like hunters of these rogue demons. And basically it turns out that all of these unruly creatures are the creatures that try to help our god in the stage where he tried to overthrow the current ruler of the heavens. So he is basically having to kill those demons in order to be reinstated as a god. So it's a very intriguing story, and I will say some of it some of it is difficult to pick up at the start, especially pronunciation. My friend, we actually read this at similar time, like at the same time, but my friend read hers on Kindle, and she was saying that it's really helpful because on the Kindle you can highlight words and it will bring it up in the dictionary, or it'll pronounce it for you on the speaker. I also purchased Throttled by Lauren Asher in the month of August, and I absolutely love the idea of this. I'm reading an F1 romance, but I've just been so nervous. I will say to you guys, I am currently 77 pages through and I am enjoying it. But yeah, this one follows a male F1 racer called Noah, and he has quite like a dark family history. And we also follow Maya, who is basically the sister of his biggest contender on the F1 race course, or biggest contender of a driver, and I just find this really intriguing. This one, I feel like I could have the potential to absolutely adore F1 romance. I didn't think I would love cowboy romances, and like look at the shelf behind me, there is like a full stack of cowboy romances, and there's even more cowboy romances on the shelf above. I absolutely die for a cowboy romance. I don't know what it is, but I've been absolutely loving them. So I feel like F1 has that kind of similar, it's not a similar vibe, but it's like that similar, it's a niche trope that I think I could end up loving. Next, I have Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This is the first in the Magnolia Parks series, which I believe is like Magnolia Parks and Daisy Haites set together. This is one that me and my friend want to read together, but we're both just as nervous to pick it up as each other. So I brought 2 copies, one for me, one for my friend that we tend to buddy read a lot with together. So we're gonna give this a go. I don't know if we will give it a go anytime soon because we're both just super busy, but we may, in maybe like the October at the end of October, we may be able to give this a proper go. I'm gonna read you guys the synopsis because I feel like this is gonna be the best way to describe the book. Magnolia Parks is a beautiful, affluent, self-involved and mildly neurotic London socialite. BJ Ballantyne is Britain's most photographed bad boy who broke her heart, but these two are meant to be and everybody knows it. Magnolia and BJ are written in the stars, just suspended in a strange kind of love that looks like hurting each other a lot of the time. She dates other people to keep him at bay. He sleeps with the other girls to get back at her for it. Only now their dysfunction is catching up with them. As the cracks start to show and secrets begin to surface, Magnolia and BJ are finally forced to face the formidable question they've been avoiding all their lives. How many loves do you really get in a lifetime? It sounds good. I think it's set in London as well, like in the UK, so that'll be interesting. I don't think I read a lot of books that are set in the UK, so I'm sure that'll be interesting for me, as someone who lives in the UK. But yeah, this is what I mean by like, I am not a fan of books where cheating is one of the plot lines, especially forgiving someone for cheating. So I have a feeling I'm going to find this a difficult one to back. But if this is written well, there's a possibility that I could. But I am someone who doesn't enjoy the cheating trope at all in books. I also purchased Glow, which is the fourth book in the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. I can't really give you the synopsis for this book, however I can give you the synopsis for the series. Please read trigger warnings before you go into this series though. Basically this series follows a girl who is a King Midas retelling, but it's a girl who is literally made of gold, and she has decided to stay encaged in Midas's castle because she is sick of the things that the world have done to her and how dark and scary and vulnerable the world has made her. She decides that she's ready to hide away from the world, and Midas decides that he can use his powers to kind of get them in a position of power and become a king. So he does that and keeps her as his kind of one of his like most royal saddles that nobody else can touch but him. So one day they are traversing across the lands to get to a neighboring kingdom, and her carriage gets tipped and she gets stuck with a group of men who are not her soldiers, and she kind of learns what it's like to have that little bit of freedom and trust, and we learn bit by bit pieces about her and why she made this decision to be caged. It's a lot deeper and there's so much going on in here. There's like love, there's romance, there's heartbreak, there's a lot of like talk of victimism. For this one, I'm very excited. There was something that happened at the end of the third book which just made me feel so like, yes, go girl for our main character. Although this series can be a bit predictable, if you're someone who's read quite a few fantasy books or fantasy romance books, you'll find this series a little bit predictable in terms of the first 3 books. Obviously, I've not read the 4th book yet, but you will find it a little bit predictable, but please hang in there because I honestly think the character development and the writing is just so nice, and it's so like refreshing. When I want to go back into this world, I know I'm going to literally devour the next 2 books probably at the same time, so I'm very excited to finally get to this one. Finally, I have one of the gifted books from August that I have left that I haven't read yet, and that's The Witches at the End of the World by Chelsea Iverston. Now, I don't know a lot about this. My sister gave it to me because she couldn't finish it. She just said it made her feel a bit slumpy, and I love magic. She loves magic. She said she doesn't know why she couldn't get through it because it's only short. Yeah, this says rage burns brighter than any spell fire. Deep in the birchwoods of Norway, magic courses through the veins of 2 sisters. For years they've been alone, but sweet temper Kajar is tired of living in the shadow and longs for a life filled with community, even if it means stifling her magic. But Minna is a witch through and through, with wrath always simmering just below the surface. Different as they may be, both will never forget the day they were driven from their village, the day their mother burned. When Kajar leaves to pursue a new life, Minna is left alone in the darkness of the forest. Devastated and outraged at the betrayal, Minna casts a curse to punish those who took everything from her. What she doesn't realise is that this act will incite a deadly chain of events. Soon, it will destroy everything, including the life Kajar has lovingly built. But once a witch's rage boils, regret means nothing. She can't take back what's already done. Someone will have to burn. This sounds like it's got a lot of parallels to what her mum's been through. It does sound very, very, very intriguing, and I am excited to get to this one. Again, it's quite a short one. I think for me it's going to just depend how slow the story is. These are the books that I have purchased in September. I'm going to show you guys the books that I had purchased prior to the trip that I just went on with my partner today, and then we'll talk about the books that I brought today, which are in a reusable Tesco's bag. So there are 2 books that I want to talk about first. These 2 were gifted to me by my partner for my graduation / celebratory congratulations on getting your job, and those are Feybound by Sarah L. Arifi, This I wanted to buy this when it was in hardback. I have been holding off on purchasing this. This just sounds like something that I would love. And the synopsis says, imprisoned by fate. As a warrior in the elven army, Yurin knows she'll die on the battlefield, but her sister Lettel, a diviner, seeks prophecies of a better future. Divided by blood. When a fatal mistake leads to Yurin's exile from the elven lands, the sisters are forced into a terrifying wilderness beyond their borders. There, they encounter the Fae Court. Bound by desire, as Yurin and Lettel are thrust into the Fae's seductive world, they are torn between their loyalty to each other and their hearts. Welcome to the intoxicating world of the Fae. The other book that he got me, These Twisted Bonds by Lexi Ryan. Now, this is the second to one of her books I've already read. Where is it? Oh, I think it's like up the top of my shelf, so I can't get it right now. But this is the final book in the duology for These Hollow Vows and These Twisted Bonds. However, I think I'm gonna have to reread These Hollow Vows because I remember absolutely loving it and giving it like 4.5 stars. However, I don't necessarily remember exactly what happens. I remember there being quite a big plot twist near the end, but other than that, not really remembering, so I'm either gonna have to reread some like spark notes on this book, on the first book, to be able to go into this one, or I'm gonna just try and go into this one and try and remember, but I don't know, I think I might have to reread the first book, which is fine. I can definitely do that. The next book is my Fairy Loot September book, which this is my first book from Fairy Loot in the monthly subscription, so that I haven't brought like secondhand from someone else. The theme for the month was power struggles, and our book looks like this. It's The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart, and this is absolutely stunning. So whilst I show you guys the customizations, I will give you the synopsis of the book. Editing me is going to have so much fun figuring out how we're doing this. Look at that. This is the reverse dust jacket art, and the front is like a recolor of the original cover. After a divine war shattered the world, humanity struck a pact with the god Kellen. In return for a regular tribute of magical gems, Kellen would restore the world to its former glory. But as each land is transformed, so too are its peoples changed into strange new forms, if they survive at all. Hakara is not willing to pay such a price. Desperate to protect herself and her sister Rasha, she flees her homeland for the safety of the neighbouring kingdom, but tragedy strikes when they're separated, and Hakara is forced to abandon Rasha to an unknown fate. And here is the back end page. Yet, when Hakara discovers she can channel the power of the magical gems, she's invited to join a clandestine plot to destroy the God Pack. To win Hakara to the cause, the conspirators reveal a startling secret. Rasha is alive, and they can help rescue her, but only if Hakara goes to war against the god. I feel like this is going to be really good, and I feel as though I have heard great things about Andrea Stewart's writing. I've never actually read a book by her, but I have heard good things about her writing, I believe, so I'm very excited to give this one a go, and it's absolutely stunning. The last book that I have here is one that I brought from Tesco's literally like on Wednesday, so like 4 days ago, and that is Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. I got this for £4.50, which is crazy because this is a new release book. I've read the first book in the series and I absolutely adored it, and I'm very excited to get around to this one, and this is just the second book in her new, I don't know how long this series is going to be, but in her new Rose Hill series, and I'm very excited to see my thoughts and opinions on this one. And I believe this one has the single dad trope, which I don't know why, but for me in romances, the single dad trope, I love it. I love it. A rugged mountain town seems like the perfect escape for a life in shambles until she ran into the world's hottest single dad. As a chart-topping country singer with a recent streak of bad press, it's hard for Skylar Stone to find any peace, but she finds it in Rose Hill with a little boy and a little girl who steal her heart just as thoroughly as their dad, Weston Belmont. The man is a shameless flirt. He uses confidence and masculinity in a way that's downright distracting, and in bed, he is addictive. Everything with him is wild and impulsive, and Skylar is desperate to regain some control. But no one has supported her like Wes does, and no one has ever made her feel as loved as he does either. So, while Skylar's brain says settling down with a small-town horse trainer is impossible, her heart says she's right where she belongs. She can see in his eyes that he wants her to stay, and she wants to she wants that too, but Skylar knows better than anyone that you don't always get what you want. I'm excited. I feel like this will probably make me cry, but I'm very excited. And yeah, it kind of does almost continue on from the last one as the last book, so it's definitely worth reading the first book first, which is Wild Love. But yeah, I've loved everything by her so far, so I'm very excited. Finally, we're moving on to the last 7 books. Thank God for me. Today I brought 7 books. I'm not really going to show them in any particular order, I don't think, but I guess I did go a bit crazy. Since we just talked about Elsie Silver, I thought I may as well show you guys this one. This is Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. This is her, I believe this is her first series that she wrote, which is kind of prior to the Chestnut Springs series, which is very, very famous by her. So it would be this series first, then the Chestnut Springs, and then this new series from her. So yeah, this is what you would call like part of her backlist, and this is Off to the Races, and this one is part of the Gold Rush Ranch series, and these have just had all brand new cover renews. I actually don't even know to be honest with you what this one's about. I've heard mixed opinions about how people feel about this series, but I'm very, very, very excited to get into it. And like I said, I am pretty much caught up. Like once I read this, I'm pretty much caught up on like what she's releasing currently, so it'd be really nice to have some Elsie Silver to read from her backlist whilst I'm waiting for the next book in the Rose Hill series to come out. So yeah, I'll read the synopsis of this one so that you know what it's about. Keeping things professional with my employees has never been an issue until Billy waltzes onto my property. She's talented, feisty, and so damn tempting. We clash from the moment we meet, and I can't stop thinking about all the ways I could take her down a peg. I can't stop thinking about her, period. And in a small town, on an even smaller farm, it's hard to keep my distance. Billy is the whole package, whip smart with a body I fantasize about, and quick, and quite possibly the only woman who can save the business and me. She drives me crazy, but the more time we spend together, the more I crave her, her lips, her trust, her heart. I want it all. But at what cost? Because suddenly I don't just want to win races, I want to win the girl. I sound like it's going to be a bit like Insta-lovey or Insta-obsession from the guy's perspective, but we shall see. I'm hoping that we see it's dual POV. I love a dual POV. Oh, it's dual POV, so that's happy, because that makes me really happy, because I love a dual POV romance. I find I enjoy it so much more if it's dual POV. I also purchased Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh. Now at one point they had the entirety of the Boys of Tommen series on sale at like a very good price. I think it's £5 per book in the works, but recently they've removed the first 4 off their shelves and they only have Taming 7 left. At least in my local ones, they only have Taming 7 left. I've read the first 2 in this series, so it's a bit crazy that I've already got the next 3, but I do believe that I'm going to love this series. I just need some time to get back to this series because it is like quite long, and there are darker themes in here, but this is Gibbsby's book, and if you know me, I adore Gibbsby in the first 2 books, so I'm so excited to get around to this one. I need to read Joey's books first, but then I can get into this, and I'm going to be so excited. And I do believe the 6th book is coming out. There is a 6th book coming out at some point. Mile High by Liz Tomford. I have just heard so many people talk about this, and I've read the synopsis so many times, and I've been tempted to pick it up so many times, and again, the whole series is currently in the works for £5 a book, which is just insane. They usually retail for £10 each, so that is just like half price. That's crazy. But yeah, I know that this is like a sports romance series, and I'm excited to get around to reading this, and I do want to read it sometime soon so that I can pick them up from the works, but I'm intrigued, you know, like this is one that I've had my eye on for a long time, and I keep reading the synopsis and being like, I could enjoy that quite a lot, but I've just never really picked it up, and I thought, do you know what, I'm treating myself as a reward for my first month in my job, and I really want to give this book a go. Chicago hockey isn't complete without me. I'm the player everyone loves to hate, the one who spends most of the game in the penalty box and leaves the arena with a different girl every match. I know my role and I play it well. What I don't know is why the new flight attendant on the team's private plane has got under my skin. Am I pushing that cool button just to push her buttons, or is it more than just that? That's our male character Xander's. Then Stevie is of course the flight attendant on the team's private plane, and her perspective on the synopsis says, I thought I'd seen it all as a flight attendant until I started working for the biggest diva in the sport. Unfiltered, unapologetic, too attractive for his own good, even Xander's. Now I'm second guessing everything, even my promise never to hook up with an athlete again, no matter how annoyingly tempting he is. I just think I'm gonna love this. I mean, it is thick, and I am kind of like, why does it need to be this thick? But I also feel like if I love them together, which I do have this feeling I'm going to love them together, then it's probably going to be worthwhile for me. I love a chunky romance book. Very unpopular opinion. I do love a chunky romance book. I won't like it if it feels like it doesn't need to be this long, but I will love it if I love every second, you know? And then to continue these romance book buying that we've got going on, I also purchased the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. All it takes is a little bit of sugar and spice by Laurie Gilmore. I have actually read, I think, one of her books on Kindle Unlimited, and I don't know too much about this one, but my partner has sent me pictures of this and like people talking about how cutesy it is and cozy it is for the autumn time. When a secret message turns up hidden in a book in the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, Hazel can't understand it. As more secret codes appear between the pages, she decides to follow the trail of clues. She just needs someone to help her out. Generous and outgoing fisherman Noah is always up for an adventure, and a scavenger hunt sounds like a lot of fun. Even better that the cute bookseller he's been crushing on for months is the one who wants his help. Hazel didn't go looking for romance, but as the treasure hunt leads her and Noah around Dream Harbour, their undeniable chemistry might be just as hot as the fresh out of the oven cinnamon buns the bookstore sells. Technically like the last romance specific book. Look at these sprayed edges, absolutely stunning. I read My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine and I really enjoyed this. It was so unique, and they recently, I think it's very newly released, is My Vampire +1. It says nothing sucks more than fake dating a vampire. Amelia Collins is tired of the constant questions about her non-existent dating life, so she decides to get everyone off her back once and for all by finding anyone, to pose as her date to a family wedding. If he's annoying or embarrassing, so much better. Coincidentally, Reginald Cleves has centuries of experience at being rude, infuriatingly arrogant, and a fashion eyesore, which makes him perfect for her purposes. But as Amelia and Reggie practice their folks romance and more Reggie secrets come to light, Amelia is surprised to find her first impressions could not have been more wrong, and that Reggie's bark might be worse than his bites. Very, very, very excited to get around to reading this one. And it's just fun. It's a lot of fun. It's very different. And yeah, I enjoyed the first one so much, and I saw this and I was like, I didn't even realize this was coming out so soon. So I'm very happy to have my hands on it, and it is a new release. So yeah, I am excited to get around to this one and read it. Yeah, it was just published in 2024. Okay, and then the last two books that I picked up were these. Now these are just kind of like random ones. I saw them there and they look like the type of cover of a book that I would enjoy in terms of fantasy romance, and that is Nectar of the Wicked by Ella Fields and Wrath of the Damned by Ella Fields. And this is part of the Deadly Divine series, I believe. And I will read you the synopsis, but all I read at the top of this was beware the Fae and never trust them with your heart. And I was like, that's me sold. Fae, trusting with your heart, sold. Don't tell me anymore. I'll give it a go. Here we go. I'm only going to read the synopsis for the first book because obviously I don't want the second one. I don't want to read it because it will spoil it for me, but also it could spoil it for you guys if you're intrigued by this. For 20 years, I was an unwanted changeling with no name and no answers, until an irresistibly wicked fairy begins a seductive game of cat and mouse. I am his prey, his treasure, a perfect pet. He offers a trade. He will take me to the fairy realms to assist in my search for the truth of who I am. In return, I must agree to marry him. But things are not as they seem, and soon after arriving at his wintry manor, I begin to unravel a dangerous web of lies. Far deadlier still, I'm falling in love with a monster who has no heart. You know, I understand that this might be a little bit cliche or a little bit, you know, exactly what you expect from this book, but I'm kind of excited for that. I love a quick romantic read sometimes, and honestly this just sounds like something that I'm going to enjoy. It's going to be a good time no matter what. It could be great and like an amazing excellent good time, or it could just be a good time, and I am always in for a good time, and these just seem it seems up my alley, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it seems like something I'm going to enjoy. So yeah, and these covers, stunning. That's everything for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Like to see more videos from me, and I'll catch you guys all in my next one. Bye.